Today, let's start talking about the Trecaan 12-site desktop hydroponic unit. I'd like to show you, after a grow, how to take it apart and to clean it. It sounds simple, but not quite. First off, always unplug it from the wall. You're going to find that it's a little bit cumbersome, but what you want to do is start by taking the light hood off. It's just a press-in fitting. It requires a little bit of force. You're not going to break anything, but hold down on the deck and pull upright on the light hood. There are only 3 electrical connectors that are on the bottom of the light stand, and those just plug into holes also. There's a little bit of a firm push in, and on the sides, the notches I was telling you about are like this one, and they made up with the interior of where this plugs in. Now, when you go to put this back together, the power buttons will be in the front of the unit, and don't worry about getting it on backwards, because on the bottom there are 3 indentations, and they only fit in the forward position. So once that is taken apart and put to the side, you'll notice that the opposite side of this power cord fits underneath into the bottom, and I've already disconnected it, but it's just a simple press fitting also, and that pops right out. This is where the electrical plugs into the bottom of the unit, and as mentioned, all you have to do is grab hold and pull up, and that's all there is to it. It'll plug right back in. So set the power cord over to the side, and once you've got that done, you can lift on the deck lid, and that comes right up and out. Now, the planting baskets that you see here, these white things that the seedling plugs go into, underneath they tend to build up a little bit of corrosion, mineral buildup of sorts, calcium if you have calcium in your water. So we'll want to get that clean also, but for now we're going to set this to the side. And all the water that I had inside the bowl I've dumped out so you can see better the inside of the unit. Very straightforward, and it's not terribly dirty, but on the sides of the unit you can pick up on this mineral buildup also, and we'd like to get that clean, as well as the pump unit that is on the bottom there. The white wire that you see is the electrical cord that goes from the light to that small pump area. Now the pump has a cap on top of it. Now if we want to remove that cap, it's fairly simple. On the sides, this side and this side of that unit, there's 2 tabs, and the tabs, all you have to do is press outward on that and pull up at the same time, and it'll come right up and out. This is the tab on the top of the pump cover, and I took a small slotted screwed blade and just merely pried it to the outer part of the box away from the cap and pulled up on it. And I did the same process on the other side to be able to remove the cap. Now, you can look inside the base of this, because I've already taken apart the unit, and you can see how dirty that is. There are grooved areas where those tabs are, and the tabs are not on the lid, they're actually on the body that this snaps down onto. So taking that off, you can see the pump is very small. It tends to get dirty, collects a lot of root and organic matter as well as minerals, and it's merely a bunch of foam that has been squeezed around a very tiny low wattage pump. So what I'd like to do is grab a hold of the nozzle where that pump comes up and jets the water to the surface, and I'm going to lift that up and out, put it to the side, and looking down in there, let's see if we could show you. There's a lot of roots, and they're real tiny roots, and there's a lot of organic matter that's collected in those sponges. Here is how filthy the pump is over just a short period of time. So let's pull out the sponges. There's 1, 2, and 3. What you saw fall off was tiny roots. Now underneath the foam and the pump area, see how dirty that is? We'll want to get that cleaned out also. So one of the best ways that they say you can clean out a system such as this, and this is going to sound a little sacrilegious to all you AeroGarden users, is to use an AeroGarden product called the Hydroponic No-Rinse Cleanser. And for a garden of this size, it is 1 tablespoon per gallon of water that goes into this. The cleanser is rated for various AeroGarden products. However, at the bottom, there is a general purpose at 1 tablespoon of the cleanser per gallon, which is what we'll be using. So to test it out, let's go ahead and start adding water into the system. I have 2 gallons of water, and I'm not quite sure how much this basin is going to hold. So let's start by using 1 gallon, and we'll pour the contents into the basin. So 1 gallon takes it clear to the top of the edge of the bowl. So probably a little bit less than 1 gallon would have been ideal. And in hindsight, it would have been good for me to have connected the power back to the bottom. That way I could run the pump and help circulate the cleanser. If you're curious what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to slide this off enough to put the electrical cord up into the bottom. And you can't actually see underneath without dumping the water when it's this full. You have to actually use your fingertips and just kind of move the electrical connection around a little bit to make sure that you can get it to insert the way that it needs to. So let's try to get this back onto the countertop without spilling anything. Slow and steady. Sometimes it all works out. Another tip would be make sure that your electrical cord can reach from where you're working to an actual outlet. Since this is the first time that I've cleaned this particular unit, let's go ahead and experiment a little. I'll take the baskets out and drop those into the basin and set the deck on top of the unit. But before I do, let's take the top that came off of the pump, put that in. I'll even take the sponges and try those inside. Instructions say, be careful not to get this in your eyes, otherwise you'll need to flush with water and perhaps seek medical attention. Also, do not ingest, which I plan not to. They suggest that you shake the container to help break up any of the particles that may be clumped together. It gives you a better measurement. And since there's 1 gallon, I'll be using 1 tablespoon of this product. I have a teaspoon, and 3 teaspoons are equivalent to 1 tablespoon. So now that I have it shaken up, so tapping on the side of the container allows me to even out what's on the teaspoon. And so that's about what I've got at the moment. So let's go ahead and sift that back and forth into the water. It's always a good idea to cap this cleaning material after done. I intend to run the pump, so to keep the little pump from jetting water out onto the floor, let's put the deck on top of the unit. Keep in mind that the fill indicator is situated towards the front of the unit, and the actual fill cap is towards the back. So once that's put into place, in order to run the pump, I will need to reconnect the light, because the pump depends upon the switches that are on the top of the hood. I'll take the power brick and plug that in, turn on the power, because I would like to see what's going on. You could hear the pump is running, the light's on, and I could see that the pump is pushing the water around on the inside of the unit. So what did I find out? The AeroGarden cleaner was less impressive than I thought it would be. It did not dissolve as much as what I would think. As a matter of fact, just to test a little bit more, I put the deck lid into the water with the AeroGarden No-Rinse Cleaner, and when I pulled it out, I could see that the residue around the basket holes is still there, and the sponges that I dropped in still have roots in them. When I look down into the bottom of this particular Trecaan unit, the pump still seems to have roots that have not dissolved. And I will say that everything that is in here looks like the residue and the roots may be a little bit more loosened up, but it's not a no-rinse cleaner by any means, because what I'll have to do at this point in time is take all of this over to a sink and rinse it off, probably wipe it off as well. And I hate to say it, but AeroGarden, you really need to up your game a little bit more, because this is less impressive than standard white vinegar. When I dump white vinegar in, it tends to dissolve things a lot better. And I will go ahead and put this into a sink, wipe it off, and scrub it a little bit. One other thing that I found out was that the pump that is in here is a tiny pump, but if it doesn't have the cap on it, the pump tends to turn if I just run it without the cap and the sponges around it. And so what happened was the water started to jet out one of the holes in the deck and onto the countertop. So I could have lost all of the water, for the most part, out of this bowl, just running it the way that I had previously had it set up. Now, the other thing is when I tilted the pump back the opposite direction, thinking that maybe I could tell you that this would work better, it actually got water into the socket area that the light plugs down into. And with that in mind, that would be a potential shock hazard. So I would say that when you go to clean this particular unit, I would highly suggest just taking the light off, putting a solution, of maybe 50% white vinegar, 50% water into it, let it set overnight, and go ahead and rinse it out, wipe it out. And I have used my dishwasher to wash parts before on top rack only, and that would probably be a decent solution to go ahead and get this up and running for another grow cycle. So this has been my experience with the AeroGarden Cleaner and the Trecaan unit. So the Trecaan unit, in terms of disassembly, what I've showed you is probably a nice set of things to follow along with. But in terms of cleaning, now you know what I know. So happy growing. Here is an update from about 48 hours after putting the AeroGarden No-Rinse Cleaner into the Trecaan hydroponic unit. I just wanted to clarify a little bit with this close-up that it did take off some of the organic and mineral content from the sides of the bottom unit on the bowl. Down in the bottom, you can see those tiny particles. You're looking through the water right now, and you can see that the roots did deteriorate a little bit. They're still not broken down, and the pump itself has residues on the outside of it. So you're going to find out that even with the AeroGarden Cleaner, you may be able to plant in the same water without dumping it, but you're going to find that your filters will probably need to be cleaned out a little bit after you run it for a while.